So today we have an update on my equipment that I have in my shop. This is my mill. I have another video on it. It had a motor back there that turned the wrong direction, so I ended up having to put a counter shaft on and run a pulley across the bottom up to the top. Now I found a treadmill motor that goes the right direction, so I made an adapter and put the pulley straight on the shaft, well, on the adapter. Had to make my own fan as usual. That's way quieter. This light I added, the tapes just stopped the light from shining my eyes. That's to protect my skull for when I lean forward too much or the thing's left a little low. So it goes up and down my back. So the next thing I did was I had another treadmill, so I took it apart. This thing rattled like crazy as well. The original motor and pulleys, I'm not sure why, partly from the center pulley wobbling. I still have them, so if I need more torque I can switch them around. There's the control panel. Which there's safety. Here's the inner box. So the main switch on my lathe, I ended up frying the contacts. So now I have the hot line piggybacked on both sides of the switch. So when you turn it on, it's using 4 contacts instead of 2. It should last longer. There's the SCR in the back. Here's a treadmill motor. It's got a fan there. That's a piece of tread from the treadmill. There's a circuit breaker, and the transformer came out of a microwave. I chopped it down and then welded it back together so it wouldn't be so bulky. Here's the bridge rectifier. So I don't have a tachometer on this, but it's quite a bit quieter. And I can change the speed. That belt setting lets me drill small holes and half-inch holes by controlling the speed with this. And if I needed to get more serious than that, I can change the pulleys. And of course, this switch has an on-off function to it. Got it by mistake, but I love it because it shuts it off. There's the lowest speed it wants to be. Which is under no load. And I have an indicator. Oh, and this switch, this light down there is like 14 watts. I bought a package of the Forum for something like 15 bucks or 18 bucks off of Amazon. I'm going to put a second one on the other side because it gets shadows. So the treadmill motor that went the wrong direction is now on my wood lathe. So I'll show you the wood lathe. That head belongs here, and you can't get a 12-inch anything on without hitting this. And of course you're starting it with something bigger than that before you turn it. So I took the junk off. Here's the old motor. This is like a snowmobile clutch that you control with this. The lowest speed it would go was 700 RPM or 713, and it does a magnificent job at chewing up belts. So the range was higher than I needed as well. So the treadmill motor now, this is 2.5 horsepower. That other one was 1. I know there's a difference in torque. I'd make a pulley hub in there. My first one was a failure. I had 3 thou clearance on the shaft that's there. So I ended up making a hub out of a piece of conduit, 2.5-inch conduit for electrical heavy. That's the outer side. Then I press the pulley on, have a 1/2-inch plate welded in the middle. It's hard to see in there. Anyway, it still ran out like crazy and caused the motor to shake. So I ended up chucking it in, getting it dialed in within half a thou. And then on my DRO, I used the line function that I had already set up. To make this pulley on my lathe. Happens to be the same everything. So you just follow the instructions, cut new grooves. I had to cut the diameter. There's the angle. There's the number of holes. So you're assuming you're on hole number 1. And when you go to hole number 2, you move it 911 thou in the right direction and get it down to 0, or close enough. Then cut a new groove and you continue on for 10 holes. Works well. Anyway, this thing, same thing I did with the transformer. There's the SCR, 12-volt power supply for the tachometer, choke. That's also from a treadmill, the heat sink. This shaft is from a treadmill roller. I drilled a hole in the front and then put a step on the roller and bolted it there, and it comes out a hole in this casting that I drilled that used to hold the power input. So now so this pivots on the shaft. I had to extend the release to let the whole head swivel because of the cover I have for it. And I'll show you underneath. There's the original one. There's the tensioner. There's that shaft. Of course, I don't have Fusion 360 and I'm 71, so I'm not learning how to do that. I made them, the height could have been a little different because the clamp that holds this, locks this in place, was touching there, which really wasn't a deal breaker. Same with this. I had to cut down the plunger that's in here, and then of course this thing was getting caught on the bed, so I ended up having to swivel it up there like that. So same thing, turn it on like that. This emergency switch only cuts a signal from the rheostats to the SCR, so it just shuts it down immediately. And of course this thing turns on the same way. So there's the RPM range of the original one. I don't know whether you showed that. Now 2.5 horsepower Mopowa baby. Anyway, now it goes up to 1900 RPM, thereabouts. It doesn't stop very fast. I'm afraid to put electric brake on it because I don't need my faceplate spinning off into my teeth. Anyway, it was a bunch of headaches trying to make it. That piece came off of my barbecue. The cover I have made for it is black because this was the microwave I stole the transformer out of. The top deck is a piece of my barbecue too that I put on the top. This has to be here so it can swivel around, and of course there's some more tread, and I've got some that contain all the chips so they can cover up my tools that I sit there. So it goes up on top of the whole thing. It was a bit of work. Took a while. Oh, I had to extend this plunger too, because it's for knocking this stuff out when you don't need it. And one more thing about treadmill tread. It does a good job at stopping stuff from slipping. I 3D printed these out of on my table saw Did the same thing with my the pile that used to be here of all my pliers. I still have a bit of a pile back there. And I did it again down here to hold some stuff, so it was at least a little more organized. Normally it looks like this mess. That's how I usually roll. Might as well show you this. I made this toolbox down in the States to hold these lathe tools that I actually made myself as well. And I made it too big, so I ended up adding a bunch of extra junk to it. And I managed to pack that in there because I used to take it back and forth to the woodworking shop. And then it wasn't quite big enough, so I ended up adding a back door. This came off of a $2 garage sale suitcase. So it has rollers because it gets pretty heavy. Anyway, that's pretty well it. I want to show you one other thing. Here's the bowl I made a couple of years ago during COVID, and I like to make smart remarks on my projects, so no COVID me. I did get it. Same with here, clevasse pins, screws, drills, rivets, rod ends, teeny nuts. The decals like this you can get from AVE. He's got a bunch of them. They're pretty funny, most of them. And if you want to know how to set this kind of stuff up, you go on YouTube on Days Cars. He explains it from one end to the other, and he kind of sold me on it. So that's why everything I have has this on, except for my bandsaw. It might be next. Anyway.
That was easy.
Talk to you later. Bye.